Hi, this is Amir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Friday, the 12th of April. Starting off with the FTSE 100, where we're hanging in there above 8,000. Didn't think I'd live long enough to see that, but got the rising trend channel from back in December. 8150 is the top of the channel, and we'll be looking for that by the end of next month. I suppose if things go well, we might get that by the end of this month, but obviously this market has been slow. We do break down below 78.80, then there's a risk of 7800 again, which was the old basically May to March resistance, but ideally we are having the breakout that we've been waiting for so long. Next up is the DAX, and here we're bouncing off the floor of that rising trend channel from October after a few down days. The top of the channel is up to as high as 19,500, which is a potential target for the end of next month. We do keep going down. The 50-day line, 17,600, seems to be the worst on the cards at the moment, especially given the way that this has obviously been a great bull run for this market. If you're fussy, maybe you want to wait for a trigger, which would be a buy trigger rather. That would be a break of that resistance line there from the turn of the month. I suppose that's running through around 18,200 just to be safe. Moving along to the Dow, and here you can see that rather painful breakdown, at least in terms of the best levels that we had at the turn of the month. Still the same story, I suppose, in terms of finding support, hopefully at 38,000 or above. End of day close back about the 50-day line, 38,900. Be the trigger for a new leg to the upside and a retest or a test of the 40,000 area, hopefully later this month. Moving on to Bitcoin, and here it's all about trying to break the recent record that we had back above that resistance line there from last month, that level nominally around 70,700, so we're just on the right side of that. We've got the rising trend channel there from back in January, and the 50-day line 65,800 now. Ideally we stay above that 50-day line ahead of a move to 80,000 plus, hopefully by the end of next month, and if we're lucky, obviously with the halving by the end of this month. RSI in a good place, bouncing above the neutral 50 level. It's 56, so that gives us some hope that maybe we'll see a fresh push over the weekend. On to gold, which is exceeding most expectations. We've had our previous targets, 2280, 2380, and we're, I suppose, in the area of the higher target there. The high today so far, the high in the last 24 hours, 2395. The rising trend channel I've drawn there from February, heading up to 2480, and we're looking for that hopefully by the end of next month or even sooner. But this obviously looks like the big move everyone has been waiting for on gold. On to the stocks, and not a great selection today, given that the FTSE is at record highs, but Aukett, it's been in a rising trend channel base. We looked at this before, as you can tell by the lines. 1.8, the top of the channel there. And we're looking for that while we remain above the 200-day moving average at 1.35. If you're a fan of the shares, and I suppose there might be one or two people looking at this, then the next target up would be the resistance line there from last summer towards 2.2 pence, but still some way away at the moment. On to CleanTech, which seems to have bounced back from this week's rather difficult news. Here we've got this falling trend channel there, the red line there up to 16.3 pence. We're looking for that hopefully over the next week or so, given that we bounced off the floor of that falling channel and the RSI went down below 10, so it looks as though things are a bit oversold there. Best case would be up to 18 or 19 pence by the end of this month. Moving on to Capital Metals, which has been a noteworthy situation for much of the last year. Here we've got the rising trend channel since last summer, back support above the rising 50-day line. That means we're looking for 7 pence as soon as the end of the next month here. Hopefully we'll have sort of a rally that we had back in October, especially while we remain above that 50-day line, 3.3 pence. Distil is next, and here you can see that a bit of a messy chart, but we've got a potential basing situation. The top of that broadening triangle from the beginning of last year heading for a penny, and that's what we're looking for at the moment while we remain above the recent support around 0.5 pence on an end of day close basis. A little bear trap yesterday below that particular number. Gold obviously helping some of the junior miners at the moment, and so it showed a bit late actually, but here we've got Galantas where we had an unfilled gap to the upside off the low, so that's one of our favorite setups, a bit late on that actually. Shares have already basically doubled since then, but current situation is we're just breaking the 200-day moving average for the first time in a long while, and in fact I think it must be something like a year or something that we haven't been above that line, more than a year in fact. So rising trend channel base here, heading for 16 pence, hopefully by the end of this month, or even sooner. There's a gap to fill up to 18, which may also be in the mix later in April. But the key here, staying above recent resistance at around the 10.5 pence level on Galantas. On to Hummingbird, which is also bouncing back, and here just on the 50-day line at the moment, we're looking for a rebound back to the 11 pence area later this month, while we remain above the old support there from October back at 6.8 pence. On to Landore, which I suspect is also feeling the benefit of the gold price here, finally turning around quite nicely. Consolidation above a now rising 50-day line, so we're looking for the shares to fill that gap up to 3 pence later this month, and then I suppose the best case would be up to 3.5, which was resistance on the way down by the end of April. But the key here, staying above that rising 50-day line, looks quite interesting on that situation. Next up, another stock I haven't looked at for ages, Molecular Energies, and here a bit of a bear trap situation, a false dawn back in March, but the current situation is that we're back above the old March support there, so that was around 17 pence. Above that, looking to fill the gap and maybe take out the March resistance at 27 pence by the end of this month. A nice U-shaped turnaround there, and an end of day close above the bottom of the gap, and the old March support would be just what the doctor ordered. On to Renalytix, which has a strange pattern at the moment, a strange nice pattern that is. Here we're crawling up a rising 50-day moving average, which if you watch the bulletin board here, as you'll know, is one of our favorite setups. So that crawl there above a rising line suggests that we're ready for another spike in the shares, maybe up to the 40 pence area initially. We don't want to get too excited, but the rising trend channel on the 200-day line up to 53 pence, which could be a target for next month or even sooner. On to Sareum, which is a bouncing stock at the moment. Obviously, it's not been a great story, but looks as though there's something of a bounce here. Here you can see that we've got the shares now above the old gap level at around 14.6 pence. The end of day close above that. We're looking for them to fill the gap up to 27 pence by the end of this month. On to the last two. The first one is Thor Explorations, which is another gold play here. The suspicion that there was going to be a turnaround has been proved, and above recent resistance at 14 pence, looking for 17 or 18 pence over the next week or two. You can see there's a gap there back from October at that level, which I think the shares are making a beeline for. On to Tertiary, which I was a bit slow on this time, which after calling the shares higher for most of the dips, here you can see that we're back above the last gap there. That was around 0.1 pence above that. Looking for the shares to hit the top of that broadening triangle from September as high as 0.16 by the end of this month or even sooner. Looking quite decent given the way that it's a bear trap, and also it's a gap close buy signal as well. So that is a double win, and as is the way the 50-day line is now curling up. That's it for me today. More updates over the weekend.